Hey guys, this is Conan, vocalist and guitarist of Exmortus, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather, and as always, I'm bringing you guys awesome interviews. Today is an honor and privilege to have Mr. Conan. He is the vocalist and guitarist of Exmortus. They're releasing their fifth full-length studio album, The Sound of Steel, via Prosthetic Records on June 8th. We're going to be talking to him about that. So, welcome to the show, Conan. How you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing? I'm good. Yourself?
Doing awesome. Glad to have you on here, man.
I'm glad too.
Let's jump right into this. What's impressed you the most about making the new album, The Sound of Steel? What's caught your eye about, if anything, possibly?
It was kind of like a rough time in a way. Half the band left me before recording it. I mean, we left on good terms, but still, I needed help with just making sure everything was going to be recorded on time. I still wanted to keep the band going, so I was fortunate enough to have pretty much some of the guys from Warbringer fill in. Chase Becker on guitar and Carlos Cruz on drums, and of course Cody, our new bassist. He's been with us for a while now too, and he didn't want to leave, so that was really good for me, and good for the band, good for Exmortus, the whole vision, and everyone was on board with me and my new ideas. So I think much of the album has that theme of persistence and just continuing fighting. And in a way, this is kind of the last album that will do that in a way. The whole fantasy theme of heroic battles and all that stuff. And you kind of see that visually with artwork. You see that with the two fighters. One of the fighters from Slave the Sword, I guess the main character, I guess, looks like, and the guy in Ride Forth, the front horseman on Ride Forth. So in a way, it kind of captures like a clash of ideals maybe, because both albums are a little different from each other. I think they're still Exmortus albums. It's just that they're a little slightly different in approach. We've gotten many comments on that from different fans. Some fans prefer Right Forth. Some fans prefer Slave of the Sword. Or hell, some fans even prefer our older stuff. Yeah, this album kind of captures a lot of what we had before these two albums on Prosthetic Records, but of course following the more modern approach that we've been doing, our more recent vision and sound since Slave. But it's pretty much like a conclusion to that, and you see that in the art and you hear that in the music somewhat. So yeah, this is pretty much the epic ending to all that in a way. If that makes any sense.
That's gotta suck though, man, when you're right in the middle of recording an album and then the band just dismembers. I mean, that's gotta set you back mentally, you know what I'm saying, in a way.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like in the middle of recording. It was just before the whole. I had written maybe 4 songs, or at least rough ideas for 4 songs during the time Mario and David left. So I was like, damn, I had all these other ideas in the works. I have to continue. I can't just put these ideas to waste. And I just wrote them all out. And it wasn't there's no bad blood or anything, but it did set me back a little bit. It made me wonder, damn, well, should I continue or not? So it was a little rough, I guess mentally,
sure.
Maybe emotionally, but yeah, I mean, again, there was nothing was done, with bad intentions or anything. And I don't take it as that,
Right.
In fact, Mario, he's my cousin, and he still helps out. He's printing a lot of new shirts that we're making. He's still continuing to help because he wants to focus more on that. So that's cool. So he's still, involved, and we always, hang out and shoot the shit and share ideas anyway. So everything was still good. He was still very supportive, and he was encouraging with the new jams I had anyway. He didn't contribute, but he still helped out, I guess, gave me moral support with, the ideas that he did like. So it wasn't too crazy, but like I said, it was kind of like a shock to me because it had, 2 members left at the same time, and I just carried on. I just felt like I had to, and I was fortunate enough to have Warbringer support, I guess.
What has the new members brought to this band that was possibly missing, if anything?
Well, I mean, everyone's a little different, right? Like, everyone plays a little differently, like, you know what I mean? Like, not like just skill level, just style, like just different drum fills Carlos does, and even different like articulation. Chase plays on the guitar. So for the songs, they didn't write anything like, you know, it's like, you know, arrangements or anything, but they would put their 2 cents in, like, and say, oh, like, I like this part, maybe if I change this part like this. I guess considering drum parts, I gave Carlos pretty much the freedom to do whatever he wanted. I had written basic drum patterns throughout the whole album for him to like kind of follow on to see what I imagined going on. And he just, you know, made it his own, and that's good, because I'm not a drummer. I don't consider myself a drummer, so it's best that he went off on his own and, you know, made everything sound more real, like a drummer would actually play it. And same with Chase. Like, I gave him solo sections, and we discussed whatever solo spots he wanted, and back and forth, and yeah, it worked out beautifully. You know, he was able to express himself, you know, getting into the mood of the whole song, and, you know, lyrics and all the riffs put together. Like, when his, you know, for his time to shine, he made everything work in a very fluid way. Nothing was awkward. So that's like the danger with, you know, dealing with new members, is the fear of, you know, feeling just awkward with them.
Sure, yeah.
Because you're not feeling each other's groove. But that wasn't the case this time, because, I mean, I've known them for a long time, both of them, Carlos and Chase, for a very long time, but we never actually, you know, collaborated together and worked together this way. And it was great. It turned out great. Everyone learned the songs quickly. We did that shit like in like 2 weeks, maybe like a month and 2 weeks. Yeah, it was ridiculous how much crunch time we had. But it worked out well, and everyone had their own style, and it came out really nice, because it didn't sound forced. Everything sounded like it should sound. So I'm very, very happy about the final result.
How long did it take you guys to actually get this record done?
Like recording?
Yeah.
The recording process only took, we did 10 days of recording. And we worked with the same guy that we had worked with the past 2 albums, Slave and Ride, Zach Oren at Castle Ultimate or Sharkbite Studios in Oakland. And he knows us well. He knows what we were looking for, and he knows he has like a lot of cool ideas on how to like capture the sound, and, you know, he gets the best out of us too. Like if we're like playing something a certain way, he'll tell us, like, no, do that again. You could do that better. Like, come on, that sucked, you know. A little encouragement, you know. Yeah, he's just very encouraging. Like, he knew, you know, what to get out of us and how to get it out of us.
Yeah, and it's good to work with someone that you're familiar with. He knows how to push your buttons, and you know exactly what he wants. Yeah.
And it's cool, too, because he likes, like, pretty much all the same shit we like old 80s jams, and, you know, we have a similar, I guess, idea what we want to do. As a band, he has his own band called Midnight Chaser, and they're like more traditional heavy metal, speed metal like, and we love that kind of music too. So we all have a similar approach to like making up solos and, you know, harmonizing guitar leads and all this stuff. So he knows exactly what we want, and vice versa. So it's great working with him.
And I got to say this right now, there's a lot of great new bands out that I've discovered over the last couple of years, and you guys are one of them. Plus, you know, Havoc. You guys,
hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both bands, and I'm just gonna say it right now, is kind of what heavy metal needs right now. They need a new, fresh kick in the ass of music.
Get right, fucking right in your face.
Yeah. I like it, man. It's real good. So thanks for what you guys are doing so far.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for appreciating it. I can't even speak right now. Thank you for appreciating it.
Are there any songs off the album, Conan, that stand out more to you than any on it as right now? I mean, I know these are like picking your favorite collectible or child, and I know these change every day, but is there any that stand out for you?
All of them are pretty, I guess, individual. They have their own kind of identity. And you kind of notice that, like, with some comments on the Feast of Flesh music video that came out last week. Some people are like, "Oh, what? I expected more out of this." Like, they're like, speaking in a condescending manner because the song was more like a headbanger, stompy, like thrashy song, as opposed to the, I guess people expect us to play neoclassical music all the time. And I mean, we have that too, of course. We had released a lyric video, Make Haste, and that one's way more like just neoclassically structured. And I mean, I figured like I love contrast in albums. That's what makes me more interested in listening to the whole album as opposed to like just making a playlist of just one song. And to me, like I said, I like to make contrast. I like to make ideas flow into each other and stand out by being juxtaposed to a different kind of idea. So I did that a lot with this album. There's a lot of variety. There's a lot of different kinds of expressions of the same idea, if you will, because there's a lot of riffs that are based off each other, yet they are used in a different way. So you can hear that within a few songs. I think the A minor instrumental, Unto the Ends of the Earth, and Riders of Doom, they have like a certain theme that are differently expressed. And for me, I think, since I already mentioned it, I think my favorite might be Riders of Doom, because I used lyrics and even the music is heavily inspired by the Conan soundtrack, by the scene where Conan's parents and his whole village are massacred by Thulsa Doom's cult. And that music during that scene is like my favorite. That's like, it's the shit. The whole movie's the shit. But that music was, I've always liked that as a kid. I watched the movie when I was like fucking 4 or 5, I think, when I first saw it. Yeah. Really young to be watching that kind of shit. But I loved it. I loved the soundtrack. I love, how that the music took me back to that time, like to ancient times, in a way. It was the music and, of course, the atmosphere of the whole movie in general. But I loved that about it. And I wanted to, pay homage to, one of my favorite movies. So that music, in a sense, is a reflection of that scene lyrically too, because the lyrics in the movie, there's a choir singing in Latin, and I tried to look up what was being said. It's hard to kind of hear it, but apparently it's the lyrics I wrote, but I wrote them in English, and I just made my own rhyming scheme in English, and so I'm really proud of that particular song because of that. So I would say that's probably right now my favorite song to play, and this probably the most fun I've had writing a song because of that. It's a tribute.
How can you not like Conan the Barbarian, the movie, the original movie, I should say?
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, that leads into Red Sonja, and then that leads into Beastmaster. Oh God, those movies were so good, man. Oh,
totally.
Yeah. That's when movies were good. When they
were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the great fantasy movies, and I mean, I guess people. I mean, they're cheesy, of course, and like there's no way around that. But that was then, of course. I mean, it was a different time. But there's something about those movies that kind of have this magic about them. And I know that sounds corny, but that's what movies should be. Movies should be magic. It should kind of enthrall you and take you there to that time where that shit's happening. And that's why I love those movies, because they do it well with the overall music, and how everything is like pretty much on everything's filmed like in the fucking wilderness and shit. Mm-hmm. It looks like it's like it doesn't look like home, and that's what I like. It's cool. It's a very adventurous kind of feeling.
I get it. I like movies like that too. I like B-side cheesy horror movies.
Yeah.
I like.
Oh, exactly.
Redneck Zombies is one of my favorite B-side cheesy horror movie, and plus there was a horror movie that was made by TBS actually. It was called Gargoyles, and it was made for TV, not for actually movie theater, whatever. It was just made strictly for television. It was called Gargoyles back in the late 70s, early 80s, but it was good. I liked it.
Oh, cool.
So.
Nice.
How much?
I just remember the 90s animated series Gargoyles.
Yeah.
That's something entirely different, but that was cool too.
Oh yeah, that stuff was good. Darkwing Duck cartoon stuff like that. I could talk about that stuff all day long.
Totally. Hell yeah.
Count Duckula.
Yeah, right.
How much growth musically have you seen yourself go through and this band go through from album to album, or has it just been more of a personal growth for all of you?
Kind of. I mean, a lot of the songs are inspired by just pretty much like life in general, what we go through, and not just as individuals, but like in groups of individuals, like society in general, like just overall oppression and seeing how everyone's rather unhappy with how the government is going, all this, social crisis and everything. And we just kind of put that into song, trying to like inspire, standing up for what you believe in and actually giving a fuck.
Yep.
And, in the wider sense, the bigger picture, but also like we have songs that are more like just individually, motivating, at least trying to be. Like on the new album, Turn the Tide, is a little more of a personal motivation of, trying to help yourself get out of rut. And that's kind of, relates to me. Personally, I wrote the lyrics to kind of inspire myself to carry on and, keep going. But there's other stuff like that too in the other albums, and they kind of reflect how all of us felt at the time. Slave to the Sword was written because we were like, damn, we love playing this shit. We love playing heavy metal. We love to like tour and everything, but we feel like slaves to the sword. The sword is, heavy metal, the symbol. And we felt like, damn, this is it. Like, we're just slaving away. We haven't really had an opportunity to continue because we're just losing money all the time. But then when it was released on Prosthetic, we got even more opportunities, and we're like, okay, cool, this worked out better than we thought, and we just continued on. Ride Forth is that album that was like, you gotta keep going.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, in general, it's pretty much just personal reflection. Mario would help write the lyrics too, so we would just kind of, discuss, this would be cool, how does this sound as lyrics? This is a chorus idea I have. And yeah, it's all reflections of our life, really. So, it's pretty much a lot of travel songs, a lot of just, just keep persistence songs, perseverance. So yeah, it kind of carries on and echoes on in each of the albums, I would say.
Do you do anything differently during the writing and recording process to help keep your mind?
I mean, I like to learn a lot of shit as I go. Like, I love, like, us, we love classical music, and I love to study scores. So musically, yeah, I continue to learn. I still, study my favorite scores and transcribe them, or try to translate them differently, like on guitar. And yeah, like it depends. I'll learn new little things that I didn't notice before, certain techniques that certain composers did that made a certain effect that I really like, and I'll, use that and mess around with that, in a heavy metal setting, and I think they work. I think they work great. So yeah, I would say I've grown a lot for sure personally, writing wise since the first album. Totally, I didn't know anything. First album, everything was just whatever, throwing shit together, which also sounds cool, I guess. That we have a lot of fans of the first album that are very vehement about that. They just like that album only, which is cool. But we can't always be the same every time. So things have to change, and I like to change. I don't like to write the same shit all the time. Mm. So yeah, I feel like I grow every time. Slave to the Sword, Ride Forth, and this new album all have their own kind of. They're all within the same kind of vision and approach of how Exmortus should be. At least I think. Mm-hmm. And even like the other members I have, been through that period of time, David, Mario, and even previous members like Aldo and on bass for Slave to the Sword. Yeah, we had this kind of vision, and I kind of try to keep that in mind the whole time. And but I, of course, with my my more recent studies and trying to figure out how to make things sound cool in different ways, I still apply that. So I think because of that, there's a different there's a little difference in it every album. So I'm still growing. Yeah, I'm continuously learning, and therefore my art's going to get different every time. So yeah, definitely feel different every album.
What can fans expect at a show from Exmortus when they come out to see you guys live who have not got to see you live yet?
Oh yeah, I think we should be coming by. Actually, might be announcing the new tour very soon. It's going to be in July. So we're going to be coming around your neck of the woods, I believe. Yeah, expect fucking good. We're gonna be headlining, so it'll be a longer set than usual. We would usually do, we would jump on bigger tours, and we would only get 30 minutes. So this time around, we're shooting to do like a whole hour set, and yeah, just fucking rocking out to a lot of the new songs, a lot of old ones too. But we're gonna try to keep it balanced, keep everyone happy, and we just want to have fun on stage. So everyone else should be having fun too.
We're living in the digital era of recording albums and plus social media to get stuff out quicker and to reach more fans. Do you guys like this, that you can get stuff out quicker and plus reach more fans for your music?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it's a lot easier nowadays, it seems. I mean, granted, we started playing music during this kind of transition to the digital age, and I guess, and during the whole MySpace days, and now everyone's moved to Facebook, and then there's Instagram, and then Twitter. It's cool, but it's also a pain in the ass to kind of manage all that shit because, first and foremost, we consider ourselves, I'm speaking for the rest of the band members, but first and foremost, we consider ourselves musicians, and we jam, we play music, we write music, and whatnot. But now we also have to take care of like a lot of the social media stuff. And it's hard to kind of like get it out there because it's drowned out by other stuff, the other trending stuff, and it's kind of hard to get noticed still because there's so many people doing it. There's so many people, so many bands, so many other businesses, shooting out their products and everything. So it's a little difficult regardless. You know what I mean? So it's like a double-edged sword, I would say.
Yeah.
Using a fantasy reference, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of like that, and I mean. That's how the times are now. Times are changing, and we have to adapt somehow.
What does Exmortus bring to the table for music that's not out there as of right now, possibly?
Well, and because of that, good question. Because there's so many different bands out there, so many. I guess we fall into the thrash category naturally. I mean, I never really intended that, but I write that way apparently. So yeah, I guess we're a thrash band. So to further, so we can make our identity. And stick out more, I really push this neoclassical aspect. I mean, there's other bands that do the same, I guess. They do neoclassical licks and neoclassical little sections. But for me, I think how we stand out more is doing like whole song. A whole song is going to be in sonata form. This old, classical structure of first movement pieces like. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, that movement is in sonata form, and I like to use that as a template for a lot of our songs because I think it works well. I think it works well in the metal setting too. It has this epic straying from the theme in a certain tonal center, and then it comes back, and it has a certain effect of heroism. And I like to incorporate that a lot in music because I think heavy metal should be heroic much of the time. Not all the time, but I like that feeling. And I like to think that's how we stick up from the rest of the bands that incorporate their own neoclassical way, their own neoclassical styles. So yeah, I think that's how we stand out by utilizing more of the or classical era sounding stuff.
Support-wise, is there a country or a region that stands out more, or even surprises you? You guys get support from that area?
We've gotten messages from like South America and even in Asia, like Thailand and in Japan even. So actually, our album's going to be released in Japan for the first time. Prosthetic made a deal with a Japanese label over there to distribute the album. So that's I guess our foot in the door over there. But yeah, it's cool like that. There's people still hear. I mean, people hear about us. Of course, through the internet. So that's the beauty of the new age, right? We get without having our actual labels pushing us out there specifically, directly to different countries, but people will hear about us, and that's kind of cool that we're wanted elsewhere. I mean, granted, the numbers are kind of small right now, but I guess in time and with distributing more and more here and there in different countries, we're able to reach out more somehow, because I would love to tour everywhere. I would love to tour South America. Never had the opportunity to do that, or even Asia, playing festivals there too. That would be cool. So that's kind of awesome. I feel, it reinforces my purpose as a musician and as an artist. So it's great to see that we're appreciated and admired in different parts of the world.
What made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you that said, yeah, that's what I want to do?
It's probably a lot of things, but in general, I don't know. It's funny because at first I wasn't really into playing guitar so much until Mario, my cousin, the drummer for Exmortus, ex-drummer for Exmortus, he wanted to start learning guitar, and then my dad taught him a little bit, and I was like, man, like, I felt left out, you know, I felt a little jealous. So I started learning too. And then I ended up really loving it. I mean, by that time I already listened, I had been listening to my dad's Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath CDs that he had around. And we were already getting into heavy metal by then, me and Mario. So yeah, we just started learning all of our favorite songs and realized how possible it is and how easily accessible, you know, tablature was becoming. You know, this was the beginning of the internet. For all this tablature stuff, and we were stoked about it. So we learned a lot, and it was empowering. So that for sure, like, made us like really want to have fun with our friends. And then we started the band, and little by little, we got deeper into the whole, I guess, professional aspect of a band. So the beginning of the musicianship arc was pretty much just, I guess, brotherhood. You know, my cousin. I mean, he's my cousin, but I consider him my brother. We grew up together, so it was just that sense of like jamming together and, you know, just having fun, rocking out, you know. I think that's the initial spark for that.
Folks, Exmortus is releasing their 5th full-length studio album, The Sound of Steel, via Prosthetic Records on June 8th. Please get out and get this album, support this band. Like I said, they remind me a lot of Havoc. You know, thankfully, we've got these types of bands, fresh bands, that are still putting out good music for rock and metal. Thank you guys for that again, Conan. And how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, buy this album, tour dates, tickets? How can they do that?
You can hit up, for sure, with the record stuff, hit up prostheticrecords.com. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're updating our website right now, so I would love to share that with you, but it wouldn't have the links just yet. So, yeah, just find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find all the information there. We constantly update info about the album and other shows. So, yeah, find us there.
Before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for the show?
Sure. Okay, cool. Hey, guys, this is Conan, vocalist and guitarist of Exmortus, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Thank you so much, Conan.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
I hear them calling.